Okay, everybody, welcome to this meeting on the 9th of May. Our agenda is in front of you. The first thing on the agenda is the election of chairman for the coming year and signing of the declaration of acceptance of office. I am quite happy to stand as chair. I would like to be supported. If anybody else would like to put themselves forward for chair, please do so. Thank you. Second on the agenda is the election of vice chair.
Everybody else needs to find it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Would you like to vote, please? Point 2 is the election of vice chairman. I would like to propose Andrew Harrison. Can we vote on that, please? Thank you. Well done. Andrew, please decide. Thank you very much. Do you have any apologies in any?
From Bill, he's at work unfortunately.
Okay, and Julie's?
I haven't heard from Jill.
Okay.
And we believe Colin's on his way.
Thank you. Right, moving on, I don't need to remind you to declare any conflicts of pecuniary interests on any items on this month's agenda. You can put your hand up as we go along if you wish to. Please remember to do so. We've all had the minutes from the last meeting. Hello, Jill. Has anybody, do you like to approve? Has anybody got any comments on the last minutes? Andrew?
Just on item 6, the village feature, what's happened at that, how the reports and signed, the arranged meeting.
Richard is...
I've asked Richard to do so.
Okay.
Sorry, I asked what was planned this month to try and organise a meeting with the Friendly Apology Department, so hasn't come back from the
Anything else regarding the minutes from the last meeting? I'm happy now, Andrew? Yes? Okay. Thank you for signing those, please. Thank you very much. Right, that moves on to the public forum. Members of the public are allowed to speak. And this is the only time we are allowed to speak without permission from myself, the chair. We'd like to try and contain this to 10 minutes, if we can. So, who would like, is anybody who would like to say anything? No?
Yes, I've got a couple of points.
David?
I notice in the agenda you've got
Public is all busy there.
I notice in the agenda under 14.4 the approval of the annual governance and the statement of accounts. It's 2020.
I've got the wrong year on there.
You got the same
See?
last year?
Yeah, I have,
Yeah.
because I've copied it, but it is this year's.
Yeah, I know it's yours, this person's name.
Yeah,
Um,
that's my fault, David.
And the other thing is there any reason why we can't have on the website the annual government statement and the statement of accounts?
They will be, but they've not been approved yet.
No, last year's wasn't on, that's what I remember.
Don't know, it might not be because it's it being a new website,
Yeah.
but it can go on there.
Yeah, it gives an insight how the parish council should work.
I thought it was on there, to be fair, but if it isn't, I will put it on. But it is because it's a new website last year.
Thank you, David. Anybody else?
Excuse me. Yes, please. Sue Lowe isn't here, and she did ask me just to inquire if a decision's been made regarding the grant for the Jubilee, and if it has and it's being refused, she would like to know the reason.
It's on the agenda, David,
Yeah.
so it's no decision's been made yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? No? Thank you very much indeed. Okay, the action log. This was also done by Melody, so you should have a copy of the action log.
Can I just interrupt, David? They are on there. They are all on there. So it's under council,
Yeah,
and then you need to go into documents.
yeah.
You've got the budget for this year, you've got last year's AGR, the year before that, and the year before that. So
Okay.
you've got 3 years on there. Okay.
Thank you.
Right, the first thing on it, as it happens, is the village feature, and Richard, you've already said that you've asked for a meeting.
Yes. I have, so Brian's been on holiday this month, we've had a couple of holidays, and he's on holiday again very shortly, so it hasn't been confirmed his availability for a meeting, but
Okay.
I am chasing it, so.
Okay, I'll get that updated. Item 2 is the map board. Rob?
Yeah, still ongoing. I've had a copy of it for a week or two to assist the designer with getting some tanks and footpaths put on it. And I've held it like as I've had it longer than this, I should have done. But it's now back with him, so it's still a work in progress.
Okay, fair enough. Jill, the solar lights on the low side.
I'm still waiting, the report I gave him last time, that's still on the agenda for, any day.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't.
No end date given to you.
No.
Andrew?
I wonder if they're stalling. Because it's been so long, and prices of resins and polymers, which is what they use in the makeup of the solar lights when they put them in the room, gone through the roof. As anybody in the building trade knows, silicone and everything, that sort of thing's gone up. And I wonder whether since they quoted for the job 12 months ago or whatever, and got the job, and then with the price increases, whether they're suddenly realising that they're going to be losing money, that they install them at the price they quoted for, and it's actually going to cost them more for the materials to make them.
That's a possibility. I think our hands are tied really, Jill, aren't they? Until
Yes,
until
yes,
you
they
hear
are, I'm
from
afraid.
them.
They're a very good firm, but
Yeah.
there could be something in that while we've actually got put back a bit.
Can't you sort of get it in writing back from them to say that the job's still on and
Yep, I'll do
at
that.
that price?
That
Yeah,
sounds like a
I'll
very
do
good
that.
idea. Please, if you could, Jill.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is taking over the cemetery. Now, this is already on the agenda further down, so we'll leave that out for now if you don't mind, and discuss that when we get to it on the agenda. The next thing is a Baptist Road Dyke. Ros,
I have tried to contact Gale Boys, even this morning, texting, nothing.
nothing at all. Okay. Colin, your name's down against this as well. What?
Baptist Road Dyke.
Yes.
I reported it to middle level commissioners, and they got someone from the local Church Road Plawford, I think it is, to look at it. And where the assessor advised, because they're going to need that. Yeah. And they didn't see a problem.
Right.
But they did say something, that they would keep an eye on it.
Okay, do you want this left on, Ros? On
Yes,
this?
I do, please.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it on there and
I'll take some photographs and I'll take them down, Mr. Boyce.
we'll try, yeah, and try again, please, thank you. Right. Low side trod uneven surface.
I've heard nothing back from Andy at all on
Okay.
that. He did say he'd go and have a look, but he obviously hasn't at the moment. I guess he's quite busy, Chris, is he, at the minute?
They're actually
Within
a
your
man
financial
down in
year.
the west at the moment, had a retiree which they have been able to replace, so they're doubling up on that work.
Okay. Is it worth us sending him a reminder, or will that just add to his?
I think it probably would just add to it, yeah. But I don't know, sorry, but I don't know, have you got a Zoom scheduled with him at any time? Have you had one yet?
No.
Oh,
No.
request one then, and get one scheduled, I'd suggest.
Yeah, we can do that. Perhaps you'll join it, would you?
Yeah, you need to go through obviously all the issues that you've got outstanding again, and anything that you find particularly difficult, come back to me, please.
That's a good idea, thanks, Chris.
Okay, next thing is the Green Road Bungalows, Richard and Melanie.
Melanie has drafted a letter, but I haven't come back to Melanie yet.
We started it, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Okay, all right.
Could I just interject and say about the green drones? We have brought it up with our Chief Executive at Lynn in a meeting of CPP about the impact it's having here, and I'm waiting for a reply. I will see her on Thursday, as I'm still waiting, and we're having a good nudge here. She does meet directly with the Freebridge, so I'm hoping, I'm not promising, that we can try to get some movement on it.
Thank you very much again, thank you. Cuddle Dyke Bank Fence.
So this was something that Bill asked me to look into. Again, I've forwarded some photos that Bill sent me to Andy, but I haven't heard back from Andy at all on that one.
So we can add that
We
to
can add that to our list to do, yeah.
Could I suggest that maybe we worked out with Borough Council on enforcement, because I think that fence came in with along with the planning application for the area. So has that got, I've got it, got withdrawn.
Was it withdrawn?
It's
Yes.
withdrawn, so if it's still there and it's withdrawn, it hasn't got permission, so it might be worth just sending it
Passing that on to
planning
planning as well.
Yeah.
Very good idea. Okay. Thank you. Right, that's the end of the action log. Right, reports of individual councillors and groups. The planning applications are all in front of you, as you can see. Has anyone got anything they'd like to ask Andrew about the planning applications on the agenda? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Right, the next thing is the Upwell Cemetery. Right. Myself, Melanie, Prue and Richard had an online meeting with Councillor Brian Long, Chris Black and Martin Chisholm about the transfer of the cemetery. They are quite happy to and agree to pass the cemetery over to us, as we already knew. I reiterate, there's no money to be paid to them, and there's no further funding coming from them whatsoever. There was a conversation about advanced receipts, etc., etc. The bottom line, really, I won't go through the agenda that we went through, because all of a sudden, out of the blue, they have told us that they expect us to pay the legal fees for the transference of the cemetery to us. When asked what this would be, it could be anything up to £10,000. I'm still waiting for them to come back, after they've spoken to their legal team, to come back with some sort of figure, because at the moment we really don't know what we're looking at. The knock-on effect from that is if it comes back as £10,000, then we as a council might have another discussion and decide we no longer want to have it. Going forwards, of course, the cemetery, there is a pot of money that's ring-fenced, so we could afford that if necessary. There will be incomings from the cemetery in the future, but possibly not as much as has been over the COVID years, which is unfortunate for the COVID years. So that's the bottom line, chaps. At the moment, we're no further forward, apart from the fact that they would like to, very much like us to take on the cemetery, but they also want us to pay the legal fees for both sides.
Can I add a couple of points there? First of all, they are still denying Chris Banfield and Kathy Mellish's email, which I said I would pass to Colin, that there is a reserve of £27,000. It is very convenient that Chris Banfield is no longer with us.
I'm sorry, but he died.
I know he died.
But it's not convenient.
Well, that was a badly chosen phrase, but from their point of view, they are denying this, and I can pass it on to Colin. And the second point is that for the very first time, they are now talking about us taking him a freehold, whereas all previous discussions had referred to the leasehold arrangement.
Point number one, they made the case that unfortunately that was an error, that was a mistake on the part of the late councillor, and that was, unfortunately, he is not here to answer yea or nay to it, so I think we are going to have to move on from that. With regards to leasehold or freehold, as far as I'm understanding it, reading backwards, is that it was the freehold, unless anyone here can tell me differently.
I have just said all previous discussions around the leasehold.
Would we have agreed to a leaseholder to pay rent as well as take on the expenditure of the cemetery? Anyone recollect that at all?
I might go back in my archives of paperwork, because I have things back 20 years typed. So let me go and have a little look. I can't do it overnight, but I'll go and have a look just in case. You never know what I have in my office. And if I can find something, because I can remember some of the conversations, but not exactly. So I'll have a look and see what I can rustle up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vivian.
When I was on the council, I was a portfolio holder for that, and the cemetery, and the £27,000 was definitely supposed to come to the Parish Council.
Yes, thank you, David. Can I remind you, please, that you're not supposed to speak, unlike Vivian, you're not supposed to speak during the...
But you must know the facts.
I think basically, until they come back to us with what they think these legal costs are going to be, obviously we have to have a further discussion on this. Any other thoughts?
Yes. Outsource it, if they are asking. See if you can get a cheaper quote. Don't have to go with them. That's all I'll say.
True. They did actually suggest that we contacted whoever we use as a solicitor to see how what costs they would charge for the transference of it.
Were they adamant, or would they meet halfway, or was it just a black and white?
It was a black and white. It really was black and white.
I asked a very cheeky question and said, could we not have it paid out of the 27,000 that it was originally, was basically boohooed, wasn't it?
It was a lie, quite frankly. Sorry, Ross.
Have they said where the 27,000's gone?
Apparently it never existed per se. It was never ring-fenced because the Borough Council just took all the monies that they received from the cemetery and put them into their main pot of money. So it just disappeared to everything. So it was never ring-fenced. Hence, there's no pot of money to come back.
Unlike ours.
It does seem very strange that they want to offload cemeteries to parish councils. They want us to have it, cemetery, but pick up the legal bill from both sides? That just doesn't seem right.
I think so. I mean, one argument to have with this is exactly that. I mean, if they want us to take on responsibility and the costs associated with it, so that they don't have that to pay any longer, then I think there's a negotiation to be had where they pick up the legal bills. Because, you know, it wouldn't take them very long to actually accumulate £10,000 if they had to pay for the upkeep, etc. of the cemetery.
If we say no, we're not taking it on, our pot of money, does that stay here?
That stays here, yeah, oh yes, yeah. It works both ways. Yeah. Okay, any further comment on that? Because I don't see that we can really go forward until we know what we're looking at until Vivian may have some paperwork on the program.
Aside from Vivian going through her paperwork, could we ask David to let us have
An email?
Yes.
Okay. In what respect?
Well, David obviously has a great considerable knowledge of the last situation, and any background information he might have might be very helpful.
Yes, if he wants to email Melanie with any information he thinks might be helpful.
Thank you.
Right, the next thing is to discuss live streaming of meetings and cost and arrange the next meeting of the communications group. I think from memory, when we last spoke about this, is that you had got costs, Rob, but you not.
Approximate costs of about £4,500.
Okay.
What hasn't been taken into consideration, as we're currently witnessing, is that we need someone to do it. So there would also be a volunteer slash, somebody would have to bring it into stand and film it, stream it. There's a little bit more to it than just chucking a camera up. I've had one response back to the survey, even though I'm not discussing the survey yet because it's only just got out. And they were adamant that we don't spend money on that one survey so far.
Okay, thoughts, things, people?
We have to wait and see what the survey says.
Yeah, it's only based on that one response so far, but I checked it before I left tonight, and the digital version of that survey just stated no. But I think there's been a bit of discussion backwards and forwards regarding it, and I think something we could discuss in the communications group based on the results of the survey that they wanted to hear.
The results of the survey are meant to be in now by the end of the month, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So based on that, when should be the next meeting of the communications group?
Oh, we've got to go into next month, haven't we?
Well, yes, June.
That's been the 31st.
Right? June by 31st, yeah. So if the next meeting of the council's on the 13th, is that right? Yeah.
We made it the previous week.
It would be good to have it the previous, or sometime the previous week. I personally won't be able to make it, but that doesn't mean to say the rest of you can't meet.
Can we do it on the other day?
On the 6th. On the 6th.
Anybody else in the communications group can
Yeah,
make
should be
that?
okay.
Yes. Let Bill know, because he's on the
Yeah.
communications group.
What time do you want to do it? 7?
Next on the agenda is to arrange the next meeting regarding the sale of the land at the roadside. We did have an email from Peter Hutchins, Paul Hutchins. Seemed to be chasing some information to see if we were still going to progress with this.
Emailed him. I haven't emailed him back to say we're waiting
should at least contact Paul Hutchins and Mark Thompson and apologise for not having contacted them in 6 months.
I think that was Richard's
I think 6 months probably, it's about 6 weeks. I have written a letter, I will get across to Melanie this week so we can get that out.
Yeah, I mean, well, the point is that they haven't heard from us for 6 months.
6 weeks.
6 years, no, this week, it's 6 months.
Well, anyhow, it's a very long time since we were last in touch with them, so perhaps we need to just drop them a line and call them.
Well, that is Richard's letter.
I'll get that to Melanie, we'll make sure we make contact with them this week. So
Okay, we know whether he's got anything else, that's it.
make sure it's local first.
We need a meeting as well for the low side.
Can I suggest that we get a meeting at our next meeting? June?
I was going to say it needs to be
it makes sense.
a later one, doesn't it?
Okay.
So if I pop that back on the agenda.
Yeah, put it on the agenda and delay that until we've had a response back from them. Okay, responsibility matrix.
Yeah, this is going to be resolved till next month, which we may all have 2 new persons.
Responsibility matrix.
Yeah, we can do.
You happy with that? Yes. Okay.
It's just it has to be looked at least once a year, but we can do that next time, that's perfectly
There's
fine.
no point in doing it now, because we have new members of the council. Yeah.
Right, having said that, to consider the casual vacancies, 2 candidates have applied. We have 2 applications. One from Mike Turner, who's sitting over there, and the other one is from Brian Carr, who you know already.
You've all seen the applications, yeah? You need to really sort of have a discussion now, if you want one, both of them, neither of them, and then have a vote on
So we've got 2 vacancies at the moment.
that. 2 vacancies, yeah.
The Paul's vacancy hasn't yet been advertised, is that?
Yeah,
It has
it has.
been advertised, so we're going for both positions.
Yeah, we haven't been pushed for election, so we'll
Should Mike be here for the discussion?
I can go stand outside and quite happy.
It might be.
I'll go stand outside.
Thank you very much. We'll let you back in.
Thank you.
Well, the reason I asked is I mean, I was looking at worked right up and thought it was very good and has the skills and things that probably Parish Council could make use of, and it just seems to work character. You saw my email regarding Brian's actions. I don't think that's something I would entertain, not from somebody who was a former councillor, resigned from everything that he was ever on. He was on the planning committee, he resigned, cemetery committee, resigned, at Upwell Village Hall, resigned, all seems to blame on the chairperson. Well, when he sort of says that in his thing that he left because the chairperson would not listen to his points of view or consider them, well, the chairperson wasn't the council. If Brian had things to bring to the parish council, we would discuss them and make a decision as a council. Paul would not, or the chairman would not be able to override that decision or anything like that, so I don't know where Brian is coming from. But his reaction before the chairperson had even left the room, I thought was bang out of order. Wonder if that's somebody like that with that sort of an attitude back as a councillor.
I'll disagree with that. For when Brian was here, we had sometimes he was for, sometimes he was against, but I could see what he meant with the chairman, because we've all had it from time to time where Paul would talk over us, and if it weren't what he wanted to hear, then and obviously him and Brian clashed on there and the other committee, so I wouldn't hold that against him. I'd be for Brian, because he had about 8 years, and in them 8 years he was, To me, it's reasonable.
But does his reaction at the last meeting, on camera,
Well, I wasn't here.
not count from everything?
I wasn't here.
You weren't here, but
But then
does that count for
again,
anything?
Paul shouldn't have just got up and, well, I see for him to just to get up and march out, like he did, when there was nothing to do with the Parish Council, it was the Village Hall, to me, that was wrong, so.
I can see your point, yes, but
So anyway, I'll support Brian.
to react what how Brian did. I mean, when he started the meeting, he said, the public forum, he didn't say anything. He said just to sit here, listen, observe, and moan later. Well, has he got to be moaning all the time on the council?
Well, he never for 8 years to that extent. So yeah,
Richard.
I think I agree with Chris. Brian's outburst was probably uncalled for and not correct, but it was an outburst. In time that I've known Brian on the council and the Village Hall committee, he has done an awful lot of work for this Village Hall, for the council, Three Hills Village Hall and the Lakes End. It's been an awful lot of time. So I think he has a passion for wanting to do what is right for the parish. Not just Upwell, as the whole parish. So I think personally, Brian is a good candidate in the same as Rex in this.
That's my view.
I'm certainly support Mike's application because the result of the open day spoke for itself, as we know. He got on the floor £1,400. And he's got the initiative that's required. And that's what we really need.
And we need someone who makes it. Which is very good.
Yeah, I do.
The council proposed that we fill both positions and we take both applicants as members of the Parish Council.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah.
Can we vote on candidates then? To take both candidates? The vote to take both candidates? And those against? Okay. Someone would like to tell Mike he can come back in again, please.
You've been voted on that, so
Oh, thank you.
you can't yet join the table because I need you, so don't disappear because I've got a form for you to sign before you go.
Yep.
And then I'll send you through quite a lot of bedtime reading for you. And then you'll be able to join the
Excellent.
table next time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, lovely. Okie doke. Next things to happen.
The hounds will be coming through any time.
To discuss training for councillors. Now, obviously, our new councillors would benefit possibly from some training when that comes. Have you got anything else in mind, Melanie?
So I've put this on here. Basically, you had the full council training last year, and if you would like to do something similar again, probably in the autumn again this year. Again with Norfolk PTS.
Do we have copies of the Good Council's Guide to give to candidates?
I've definitely got one. With your permission, I'll order another half a dozen more if that's okay with everyone, just so we've got some spares. So shall I do something for October, November, whenever they can fit us in, and then I'll send a list later round to see what you'd actually like to go on there. Probably more finance or more planning or whatever you. Because you had quite an all-round one last time, so perhaps something a bit more specific would be better.
Anyone happy with that?
I'll do October, November time.
Agreed.
And I'll send some dates round.
Wonderful. Item 12 is to discuss the terms of reference with the Village Hall Committee. As you know, I wasn't here for the last meeting. Going through these terms of reference, who wants to start?
Do you want me to just say?
Yeah,
so
if you would give a summary.
Yeah, so my understanding is that everything else on there is good to go. There was a couple of things that Prue wanted removed, which I've removed. So the only one that I just really need clarification on, unless you guys have got anything else, was item 7 under finance and item D, which I've highlighted in red. So that was my take on what happened at the last meeting. But we sort of didn't really ratify it with Paul leaving so suddenly.
So it says the committee shall not spend nor commit to spend more money than is in the hall bank account. Obviously that's ring fenced, isn't it? Expenditure on a maintenance in the hall costing more than £5,000 shall need the consent of the Parish Council. This is per episode of maintenance and not on projects. I think we need to define maintenance to begin with. So
I think that doesn't, me personally, I think that doesn't mean things like the heating oil, the electricity, the everyday utilities. I
This
don't
is something
believe
you're
comes
about
into that.
costs.
Yeah.
Money costs are not included.
Yeah.
If anything breaks, fix it basically.
Yeah.
Existing, fix it or replace it.
yes, yeah, I think things are sort of, I don't know, for example, a new cooker hood, they shouldn't have to come to council to get them to approve that sort of thing. So if you added something, as they said, so it's not utility bills or
Only expenses, only costs.
all running costs. Do we need to put something in there officially about replacement of things, I don't know, like a vacuum cleaner or something like that?
All breakages, I suppose. Or general breakages.
Are we now happy with this paragraph? Do we all understand it? Have we got any more questions on it as to what it means and what it doesn't mean? Because obviously, going forwards, we don't want any more arguments on this. Andrew?
I propose that we accept item 7D with the amendments we've discussed and then the overall terms of reference.
Second.
I've got one minor point to add in terms of those groups.
What is that?
But it's a little bit further on. Rather on this point, should we,
What point of which number?
well, rather on the point we're on,
Yeah.
should we have something about projects will not commence without Parish Council support or because
I think that possibly would
It falls into that, doesn't it? Yeah. Shall need the consent of.
And I'd imagine that any project would be at least £5,000.
Yeah, at least see anything under that is a project which should come forward anyway.
Well, yes, yeah.
Just out of common decency. But I don't think it is a living one.
yes, I agree. I mean, we do what we can to, we would like to be here to help. Yeah. The only other point in that case I had was on 9, the special general meeting.
9.
If a special general meeting may be called by any two members to discuss an urgent matter, 14 days notice on an urgent matter seems unnecessarily long. If it's urgent, it's urgent. Wrong.
Yeah, I agree. But is that not within the
That's-
findings of the
That's-
PC?
Yeah,
Is that not generic? They're not working the same principle as Parish Council, but we have an urgent meeting, it has to be fully in place.
I don't think we have a specific amount of days on one for an extraordinary meeting.
Would anyone be happier if we shortened the 14 days notice to 7?
Or just give more members notice. Without
Take the
taking
amount of days.
Okay, so can we now, Prue has proposed that we take out the 14 days. Can somebody second that, please? Richard has. Can you vote on that, please? Yeah.
So you don't actually want to have a meeting like that, you do something about it.
And going back to Andrew's proposal that we accept section 7D that's in red with the amendments already suggested. Is somebody second that for me, please? Rob? And voted on that, please? Yeah? Okay, carried. If it's safe to assume now that we're all happy with these terms of reference to the village hall? Yes? Okay. Did you want to vote on that, or are you happy with that to go just to go through on the meeting minutes? Okay. Right, fine. Note any health and safety issues. Has anyone got any health and safety issues to bring up? No? Lovely, thank you very much. Finance. And you sent through the finance sheets, so the payments made since the last meeting.
So there has been one payment made today, so I went on the bank account today and realised we had a payment from Pure Heart for £2,040. I racked my brain and thought, I've got no idea, so I phoned them. And a bit like us, when she goes on her bank account, she's got Upwell this, Upwell that, Upwell the other, and she hit the wrong Upwell and sent it to us. So I've got Prue and Christine to sign it off today, and I've sent that back to them, which she was very grateful that we were honest and sent it back. So other than that, that's all I've got to report on
Okay. The income and expenditure balances reconciled from the previous month.
because we've lost most of them now, haven't we? I actually need to report on the grip leads now.
Right. Any further comments on the expenditure balances from last month? No, nothing that no one's big surprise about. No. Right, now brings us to the grant application from, we've also got one from Lakes End.
We have, I've got Lakes End and 3 holes on mine.
Have you?
Yeah,
Oh, right,
on
okay.
the latest one I sent.
Okay.
I don't know which one you want to do first.
Mike, as we're going to discuss Lakes End's grant application, yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Sorry about this.
You've got a rotating door.
Another point, I'm the chairman of 3 holes, so I
Thank
can
you.
get out as well.
All right, then, Mike, thank you.
Tax thing.
Well done, Colin.
Yeah. Okay, we have applications from both Three Holes and Lakes End for a small grant to help them with their Jubilee events.
What is our grants budget for the year?
I don't know. I think it wasn't very much from what I remember. If we take Lakes End first, open that because that's the first one on my laptop. Right, they're asking for
275.
273, 375.
The barbecue at £7.50 a head.
Grants, we had a budget of 550 with a reserve of 2,000.
Okay. Oh. Next end of asked for 375. Sorry, three holes have asked for 375.
The next end of us 375 because the 300 asked for 200.
Okay. That's next end, and three holes have asked for. Okay. Discussion, are we of a mind to grant both that have asked for, or are we of a mind to treat them both equally? Ros?
Can I just ask, have both Three Holes and Lakes End applied to the borough for funding? Because we've just received £200.
I think they have.
Yeah, 3 holes have and makes end have.
That's what I think as well. I don't think Lakes End have.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
spoke to Sandy because Sandy actually brought the paperwork round to mine on a Friday evening, and I said, have you applied to the borough? And she said no, they hadn't. I know the funding has now been opened up again, hasn't it? So you can apply again. Because the funding
Well, we didn't, I
ended
didn't
on the
hear
28th of
back in the
February, I
last
think.
week that we'd got ours.
Yeah.
They've been held up for something.
Yeah.
I think it closed when they actually asked.
Yeah, but it's now opened up again. But I think they haven't.
But they can.
But they can, yeah. And when I spoke to Sandy, Sandy said, I have asked for 375, but I'd be happy with anything that the council wished to give. She didn't want 375 just to be crossed off and not get anything. She'd rather take whatever the council wished to offer.
They have received a grant from Colin of £110, but to cover the rosettes for their Easter fair, which they already had in April. I know Andrew picked up on Section 5 financial details report as above, and I think that's a mistake by them because it wasn't made by Upwell Parish Council, it was made by Colin, who runs Borough Council hat on. I understand.
Colin did confirm that with
He
me.
did, yeah.
I can't remember if he copied into our council meetings. He does have a habit of only replying to whoever sent their email.
Yeah, that's true. So, are we of a mind to grant both, what was it, £200, three holes last one?
Yeah.
Are we of a mind to grant as requested, or Richard?
We can't really discriminate. We need to, I would agree we need to do something towards Jubilee, but Lakes End's grant application is so that they can give everybody a free burger, basically, isn't it? I don't see how we can. I don't really see how we can.
Two sessions of burger.
That's £7.50 each. So it's quite a burger.
I know what they cost.
So,
Could I just say that we've only given our own at Upwell £180, which was for the white lines.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have to treat everyone fairly, really.
What about the pubs and pens?
That's for the school.
That's good for the school.
Go on, we should go
It's
on
not
three
for our
pages.
actual.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
So,
Sorry, Lakes End can now apply for £200 grant.
they can.
Yes. So, the 3 holes are putting on a film show and a tea party for the entire parish.
They are.
So I think it's reasonable to give them their £200 grants if the parish can't afford it. But I believe, as Richard says, that giving Lakes End £375 to treat everybody to £7.50 burger, and we might as well take them all to McDonald's, it would be cheaper.
Can I propose that we grant £200 to freeholds, £200 to Lakes End, and give a further £20 to Upwell, so that everyone is treated equally.
I propose an amendment to that would be Lakes End, which is a much smaller hamlet that actually do £100 to Lakes End, £200 to freeholds.
If you did that, you'd have to add £300 up on,
Increase to,
wouldn't you, in comparison?
Right, we've got Bruce Andrew.
Although Drew says that the freeholds one is open to the parish, it's nothing stopping anybody from in the parish or anywhere going to the Lakes End one. I mean, it's not a, do you live in Lakes End, you can't have a burger or not. If anybody's free on that weekend, wants to have a barbecue and see what Lakes End's doing, everybody's free to listen. So I think all the events are parish-wide and the wider area.
They are. Okay. As far as I can see now, we've got two on the table. There's a proposal I made that everyone gets £200, and there's a proposal that Richard made that Lakes End gets a lesser amount because it's a smaller village. So, would anyone like to second my proposal that everyone gets £200 so we treat it
You need to
equally?
vote on the amendment first, I think.
Okay.
You need to vote on Richard's amendment first.
Who would like to second Richard's amendment? Chris. Can we vote, please, on Richard's amendment?
Yeah, I think so.
Those against? So that failed.
I've got the cards on the wish to use it.
Did we actually vote on my proposal that everyone gets £200? Andrew seconded it. Would we like to vote on that proposal, please? Hold on. Keep your hands up. Those against? Jill, what do you...
I don't know. Are we on Richard's amendment?
No, that wasn't carried, so we're on the proposal I made that everyone gets £200.
I think your proposal actually didn't carry, Christian, because there's 4
Yeah.
4 years
That's true,
votes,
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah. Just want to clarify.
So that has gone through 200 all round, if you're using all those.
Plus 20 not.
Well, yes, it's 22.
You said they all get £200 from the top down, so it's an even playing field.
Exactly, no one can come back and argue this.
Can I just say though, because we paid VAT for Upwell,
Right.
they'd actually be due 50.
Okay, if that's the way, why would they be due 50?
Because we paid, so the bill was £150,
Right,
and we get back the £30 VAT.
fair enough.
So there will be £50 left out of 200 to go to the Upwell Parish Council.
Right, okay, so we all get £200.
Yes.
Because that's the way it works out. Okay.
Is everyone happy with that?
Can I just come in here? I have ordered and I have received medals that we're going to present to people who went to the races.
Very
Medals
nice.
and then coins that all participants will get.
Very good. Yes, sorry, can somebody, Chris,
Chris.
could you tell Colin and Mike that they can come and
Certainly something.
Previous ones, and do a bin that people donate, and it's a scrap value.
So what's the news?
There's no news.
No.
So it's decided that everybody gets £200. So Lakes End will get 200, Freeholds will get 200, and Upwell will get 200. So they've already had 150, so they'll get an extra 50 to make it 400 up.
Who is that, son?
Upwell,
Upwell.
yeah, saying got 150.
So, 3 holes will get 200?
200.
200, yeah. I'll let Sue know, because
Yeah.
the chairman, she knows that side of things. So.
And they extend one. They're also entitled to apply for another £200 grant.
Yes.
There's another grant round on the go, apparently.
If I remember, I'll send it to Sandy or to you. Sandy? But if I don't, remind me, because I'm here today.
And if you could send 3 holes to Sue.
Right, okay. My menu's finished. The next is the cemetery grass cutting contract.
No, you've missed out the
I
AGM.
missed out, beg your pardon.
Yeah, the AGM.
I missed out the AGM, beg your pardon.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So, you'll see we've had the internal audit. We've had a new internal auditor. He was very nice. He praised the website. He liked how easy it was to find stuff on there. He liked that there was quite a lot of information on there. He praised me for the accounts. He said he hasn't seen accounts as good as ours for a very long time, which was very nice. He is also a former councillor at Deerham, I believe. As you know, our usual auditor is now given up. She's actually now clerk at Swaffham. So it was nice to have somebody else look at the accounts and look at it from a different eye. So, you've seen the report. There's nothing outstanding on the report. He's happy with everything that we've got. So I now need to get the 2 parts of the AGAR signed off. So this is the time where I ask you 8 questions, which are a yes or a no answer. So, the first one, we have put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements. Yes or no?
Yes.
We maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption, and reviewed its effectiveness. Yes or no?
Yes.
We took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances. Yes or no?
Yes.
We provided proper opportunity. We were provided proper opportunity during the year for exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the Accounts and Audits regulations. Yes or no?
Yes.
We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and/or external insurance to cover where required. Yes or no?
Yes.
We maintained through the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of accounting records and control systems. Yes or no?
Yes.
We took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit. Yes or no?
Yes.
We didn't actually have any, but that was good. We considered whether any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority, and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements. Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
I'd like to ask Christine to sign that, please. And the other part is the accounting statements, which I sent round, which was your payments and receipts. Are you happy for Christine to sign that as well? Yeah. Thank you very much.
I have one point, well, 2 questions.
Yeah.
How come your salary this year was less than last?
Let's have a
Clerk's salary 2021 and 2022.
look. I have a feeling that's because some of Kate's would have been in there.
Right, okay, yes, because we were paying 2 clerks for the
Yeah.
only person.
Yeah.
Right.
And she had gratuity out of that as well. Don't forget, she had quite a big gratuity amount, didn't she? which would have also been at the back end of that financial year. So I'll get all those sent off.
Okay, thank you. Right, now I want to discuss the cemetery grass cutting contract.
Christine?
Thank you. I need to leave for the other meeting now, Chair. Is there anything you would like me to address before I go?
I don't think that Chris.
Everybody's happy.
You know the,
I know that we won't.
you know the trail between Thurlands Drove Crew and Marshall side.
Yes.
That strip across is the Borough Council, isn't it? Is it?
County Council.
Was it?
County Council.
County Council. All right.
What is it you want to ask us?
So what's happened is on the Thurlands Drove in, one of the landowners has where that strip of grass has been down there for years and years and years. They ploughed it and then drilled it a week, so it's actually blocked off the.
They've not left the strip even though they ploughed it.
No, we just done the whole lot in. So I think that's.
Which one? Well, Chris will talk about this later and I'll be in touch with you, Chris.
Smashing it has suggested the pub.
Yes,
Gives me
but
some
you've got to
right
do it.
forward over. Thank you.
Right.
Thank
Good evening.
Thank you, like I say.
Oh, right, yes, back to the cemetery grass cutting. We discovered we're our contract ending.
So we are still in contract. Apparently it's a rolling contract. So when it expires, they will start it up again. So how much it would be to actually physically get out of the contract, I haven't asked, honestly.
Have we got a copy? We must have a copy of the contract somewhere.
I've never seen one,
No.
but it would have been way before my time.
Andrew.
I was going to say, if it's in the contract that it's a rolling contract, well, I mean, contracts are usually for a set period of time and then you get invited to renew it, which is what I found confusing with how much we're paying. Upwell Parish Council are in a fixed 3-year contract, hence they're not paying the increases that CGM are proposing to charge Upwell Parish Council. I can't remember, did we only employ CGM when we took on the cemetery as a trial basis? Because the Borough Council used to put the cemetery itself, didn't it? And the reason we took it on, the reason we took the cemetery on initially in the trial period was because we was dissatisfied with the maintenance of the grass cutting. So when the parish, so that would have been 3 years. The contract would have been 3 years as of last autumn.
Right.
So it should be worded. We can't just say, well, we roll it. You know, when it ends, we roll it over.
Yeah,
A contract is a contract for a set amount of time.
So somewhere there should be a copy of the contract.
Richard.
I'll have a look while you're talking, see if it's on here.
So I don't think it is a rolling contract. I think that they have just rolled it over into the year to carry on with the grass cutting. But I don't think we are. I don't think we're not employed in any way. And it was, as Andrew said, it was a 3-year contract with 3-year fixed cost contract. So we could invite CGM to re-tender a 3-year fixed
I
contract.
think in that 3-year period, we have made a certain inquiry. I think I've made inquiries and sort of said, advice that said about how much grass cutting was for the playing field, and I sort of found 1 or 2 people, and they said, oh no, we're in a contract for 3 years with CGM, so obviously it weren't worth chasing it up. But I don't recall seeing anything from CGM last year to say your contract is now up.
No, we never had. We've never had anything to say that.
We're quite being analysed to ask CGM for a copy of our contract.
But
Which I can do.
surely if Upwell is in a 3-year contract, and from what Debbie has told me, she's not never had any notification of price increases. If we're in a contract, even if it's rolling, how can they increase our prices? So if we're in a contract for the prices that we agreed, or we're not in a contract, hence they can increase them to increased expenditures.
I don't disagree.
So we need clarification. Meanwhile, I'm meeting a guy tomorrow, and we've had a quote from some people in Lancashire.
Yeah.
Can you put something on Facebook?
I asked Melanie to put something on Facebook, and there's people recommending other people. And I hope that, you know, if there was interest.
So I've had another guy who continuously texts me. I have to say, it quite gets on my nerves, because look, he just texts for the sake of text saking. And today he's texted to say, basically, whoever you get, I'll beat the quote.
Well, he's just an
I think so.
It is a nuisance. He continuously asks me what quotes have we had, and I said, I just need you to quote.
That's not the way it works. Yes.
And I've had one that said he'll do it for 60 quid, as he put it. And I said, you've obviously not been down and looked at it, because I can't believe you would do it for £60.
It's clean.
No, I would tell him to submit a written application to the council and
Yeah, rather than
delete
texting.
him,
Yes.
delete him, block him from your text messages, really.
Okay. So where we're at is that obviously CGM need to send us a copy of our contract, and they must have a copy because it's their contract at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay.
And then we need proper tenders from whoever's actually shown interest so far. So people you contacted, Andrew, they came back.
I don't know whether they picked up or was recommended by the Facebook link, but there's one in the link, I can't remember the full title.
The whole beach way, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they
They
said-
seemed very good.
They said that they're already working for other parishes,
Couple of other parishes,
and
aren't
firms where they've got grounds maintenance, and they seem keen, and Let seemed quite professional. I was going to say, you know, they need to come down. I mean, they did give a price, but I think they need to come down and arrange a meeting with somebody from the cemetery committee just to show them what we expect, and then do a formal tender for that.
Definitely, yes. Can we,
The price they give, how did that compare with CGM's new price?
It was about 250 quid, wasn't it?
Something like that.
It was well under.
What was CGM's?
Just paying.
CGM's latest bill was over £600. But that's two cuts.
So £300 a cut, basically.
Yeah.
And I think they was 260, wasn't it?
250, 260, I can't remember.
So it was marginally cheaper.
So CGM just
Does
charged
CGM
us-
class their new rate as a contract rate? Would, if you tied them into 3 years, would they then look at the tender different of the amount?
well, this is something we have to ask them and negotiate with, because if we end up getting tenders from other suppliers, then that's what we use to negotiate with CGM to see if they want to continue to actually.
So in my time of working for the council, it's always been for two cuts £606. This coming month, because they've just sent in their invoice, it's now 600 for the same two cuts, £651.46.
Including VAT.
That includes VAT, yeah.
So without VAT,
It's 542.88, or it was 505.
Was the 260 on the previous quote from the Lincolnshire guys including VAT or plus that? Plus that, so it's not much, is it?
so they've been charging 270, or they are now charging 271.44. So if the other people in Lincolnshire want 260, there's, as you say, nothing in it.
Richard.
We just need to invite 3 tenders, one from CGM, one from these other people for a 3-year fixed contract, same as we had before, and another one. If we've got 3 prices on the table, and we're happy that they do what we're asking,
I mean, this is
the most competitive.
I mean, this is the thing that we've had from in the past. We've been accused of not being transparent and open and everything like that. Well, if we keep going to CGM, and you know, I know the firm sets up, so I think, hang on, you just keep going to CGM without picking up the tender. So my thought was that we need to be seen that when we've got I mean, there's very few things involved in this, but when we've got a contract for something, we need to be seen to opening it up. And if nobody comes forward except the existing contractor, fine, can't say that we haven't asked.
Well,
What is the regularity? Is it every 10 days, every 14 days?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, so
So the regularity is every 2 weeks, and then we agreed supplementary cuts through all three previous years. If there's certain periods of time where the grass grows particularly fast, so on occasion we had an additional cut, and then they charged us the pro rata rate for that additional cut. So we made that judgment on how much the grass is growing.
so in April they came on the 13th and the 27th.
So I think the regularity is right because they need a benchmark.
Yeah. Because I say, people were saying I took those, and people saying that's untidy because it's not being cut.
Yeah.
Plus the fact is when you walk across it, as I said in my email, I thought what the hell's this in the grass, and it's a plastic flare tray, and that's what somebody's stringed over at the moment, so the contractors have to be aware of what is buried in the grass.
But we're never going to get it to a bowling.
No, I know we're not, it's going to be a bowling, but that is...
And that is it's still 1,000 times better than when the borough were maintaining it.
I think so.
But it is better. So,
I mean, Borough Council haven't cut the churchyard, and that is diabolical at the moment.
That's the crash.
I thought you said they had.
No, they haven't.
They
I
haven't.
said community service
Oh,
went in
community
there.
service, right, thanks.
Yes.
Okay, so basically then we agreed that we need 3 chairs for the job, CGM being one of them, plus 2 others. The Lincolnshire people, that would include them, yes. If there's anybody else that pops up on Facebook, etc.
So then that'll be on a 3-year fixed contract, 3-year.
I've agreed to meet someone tomorrow afternoon if anybody else wants to be there.
I'll try and get them approved.
And then there's another
They'll
guy.
still have to do an official tender.
Well, I'm fully aware of that. We want a written tender for the 3-year contract.
Yeah.
So should we agree what the tender is going to be for? So like a fortnightly cut and string in between March and October, March and November,
March and October, and again we added on.
and then
So-
supplementary cuts
supplementary
as when
cuts.
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just a quickie, if I may. Excuse me, Ross. Do committee services work for the Borough Council then, or who employed them to do that job?
They go in the churchyard every so often.
Yeah.
They always have done.
Yeah, we don't know if it's the diocese or the borough.
Sorry?
You don't know if it's the diocese.
No, they said yesterday, we'll go in the churchyard, because I said about the grass being long, they said, well, we can go and cut it.
Yeah,
So they've done that for years,
right.
as and when.
Do you want me to chase it with the Borough Council, Tom?
Well, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't had a chance to ring that guy today.
Okay, so are we happy with our proposal for the contract for the cemetery grass? Yes?
Yes.
Melanie will put together. So we will invite applicants. Right, thank you. Point 15, to discuss any concerns from councillors and general correspondence. The first is Upwell matters. And I think one thing we need to discuss on there, which probably will have to roll forward to the next meeting, is street lights. Andrew, you found a street light that is in dire need of...
There's a street light in Townsend Road, the one on the first sharp bend in Townsend Road, which stands back off the corner. Hasn't worked for over 12 months. I've been speaking to Roy at Westcotec about it, and it's basically because he needs 2 people, one to stand on the road managing traffic, because it's on that sharp bend, while the other truck goes up in the cherry pick to repair it. Roy said that he was going to treat that as a priority after I mentioned it to him that it hadn't still been repaired. And Roy came back and suggested that he puts one of the new lights up there that he suggested, and we put in the budget, I think, for 4 or 5 potential replacement lights for the ones that continuously fail. I did initially give him the go-ahead because he said he was going to prioritise it and didn't want to miss the opportunity. I had an email from him asking him to hold back after having an email from Christine. He said that if he got approval, he would be looking at doing it by the end of this week. And he said he has got back to other 2-man jobs to do in the area, so I don't think we really want to miss this opportunity for him to come back with 2 guys to do 1 job.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Andrew, was that a normal street light, sort of a replacement light for like, or is it for a solar one?
No, it's one of the new ones that he quoted.
Before.
Yeah.
Where the housing is failing.
Yeah, where the housings are failing, which meaning the bulbs keep going, even they're LEDs. This is a whole new unit. It's not a solar powered one. It's a whole new unit.
The reason I ask is because I've just had a quote from Westcotec for a solar one, and that is 1995 plus VAT for a solar one. Just to put it out there. Yeah, brand new one.
These new ones were about, I think these were 200, were they 200,
Yeah.
250 for the whole new lantern and the light in there. And I just said to Roy, I said, I agree that if it's going to be that difficult to get to, you don't want to just replace the LED lantern inside, or bulb inside it, and then probably 12 or 18 months it goes again, and he's got to have somebody else. I have been chasing him to do that one, because every time I do a street light check, it's always that one which has gone out. So I think that's the ideal chance. There's also the ideal opportunity to see what these new lights look like and how they operate. So probably going forward, we can look at replacing more lights.
I was just going to say there's a street light rather dim at the top of Pies Drive on Town Street as well.
Right.
So Andrew, what are we looking at, Madam Chair?
I think it was 250 or somewhere around about that. And Melanie should have something somewhere, because I think we did actually put it in the budget for 4 or 5 replacement lights throughout this year, should it be necessary.
Yeah, I do remember something going in the budget.
It would have been discussed last October, November time when we started discussing the budget, so just going back a few months.
Yeah, so we put £1,500 in reserves for new street lighting.
Okay, so we did agree to fund this sort of thing on the budget, so that we don't miss the boat, and so this is dealt with quickly. Can I have a second to to
I'll make a proposal.
Richard seconded. Can we vote on that, please? Howard. Andrew, please turn
Yeah, I'll email him tonight.
to go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Any more Upwell matters anybody wants to bring in, Keith?
I don't know what's going to the Upwell surgeries.
Yes.
If we're still doing it, give them another time and get so people know, because through and over and down Lakes End, nobody knew, and the others weren't too well informed either.
No, I think unfortunately the dates are in the magazine, which now is out, because the printer went AWOL on us, as you probably all know, we couldn't get the magazine out for Easter, which has got in, but it was put on the website, but I know not everybody looks at the website, etc. The next ones are in October. We have said we will do them, so we do have to do them, I think. So the next ones are billed for October, aren't they? Yeah. For Lakes End, Three Holes and Upwell.
Well, part of it is still difficult to get around people to know, really.
I think near the time, perhaps we might do some sort of campaign, perhaps to remind people. We put it in each, the next magazine as well, to try and remind people that this is happening. They will be there.
If it goes in the summer one and the autumn one.
And the autumn one. And perhaps we can put something up on notice boards just to remind people as well. Which is theirs, yeah.
The only thing I haven't seen for a long while, what you used to do is about 3 or 4 things to go around the loudspeaker on top of that.
Feel free, Keith, if you want to.
Get back up, disturbing people.
The first surgeries, I printed some leaflets out and delivered them in person, and it worked. But to continue that, it's going to be a bit
Well, it's just unfortunate that the magazine wasn't done in time.
No, it wasn't anybody's fault. It was, our hands were tied. We couldn't do anything about it, I'm afraid. So, no. Okay. Lakes End matters.
What about the Upwell?
Oh yeah, Croft Road Bus Shelter. So I've put a notice in there, I've put a date of the 31st of May, I've heard nothing yet about demolishing it.
So we leave it for next week.
Yeah, I'll put it back on the agenda, but I just wanted you to be aware that I've put 2 notices in it and I've heard nothing as yet.
So I haven't got Croft Road, Croft Road. I haven't got it on my
That
agenda.
was on the latest one that I sent round through the papers.
I think if so this stopped preventing confusion that the parish councillor is approached by members of the public about getting rid of the bus shelter, we should stress it is only getting rid of the shelter, not the actual bus stop. The bus stop will still be there as a bus stop, and as I said at the last meeting, the buses are hail stopped anyway, so you can stop anywhere and put your hand out and the bus will stop. It's just getting rid of the existing bus shelter, which if you stood in there because it's raining, the bus is just going to go straight past you. I see.
Which one's the Croft Road?
I'll just add to that, regarding the Upwell bus stops that I discussed cleaning last month. We had spoke to Tim couldn't do it for the money that we had to quote come back at, and the guys come back to me today with the contract that we made up and a copy of his liability insurance, and he's going to start that this month. So it's £15 a bus stop. That's in place.
Thank you. Okay. Lakes End matters. Now I can't speak at the moment, I know. But I would say they had a very successful Easter fair and they raised, I think it was just over £1,400. We should all be really, really pleased with the way Lakes End Village Hall has been taken on and the progress they've made with it. They're great inroads and they'll may continue. And next month, Mike will be able to report himself on Lakes End matters.
They're not proposing to anything particularly large for Jubilee because there will be so many other people doing it. I had a chat with Mike outside.
Yeah.
Are you a trustee still of the?
Yes.
You are.
Three Holes matters.
Three Holes matters. Well, we've got a situation where I think Sue has got 1 or 2 family problems. She comes to the fore, and she's been doing a first-class job for donkeys years, and she needs a break. So basically, she is still helping doing certain things to help run the hall, but she didn't want to stay in his chair anymore. Unfortunately, there was nobody else wanted the job, so I was prepared to stand as interim chair, and also I have got Rowan to come in as a fellow interim chair, and hope is that I shall pass the whole country with the ropes. So I'm at the moment just looking for a 3-month term. We'll see how it goes in 3 months.
And who is secretary now?
Secretary is Helen Harley.
So actually Helen's still secretary.
Yeah, still secretary. And is the lady who
Jeff.
deals with the he's the accountant still.
Jeff.
And does the films, basically. I think she's worked with you.
Sorry?
What we didn't have before, which I didn't realise, is that we didn't have a fire safety officer. Fortunately, Rowan is a fireman, so that solved that one.
Right, thank you. Item 16 to propose any items for the next agenda.
Sorry, I've just got to say, on behalf of Three Holes, thanks for asking us £200.
Okay.
Anybody?
Welcome. To propose any items for the next agenda. If you think of anything after we've left this meeting, please let them know in good time. Right, the date for the next council meeting is the 13th of June. It will be at Three Holes Village Hall at 7 o'clock. I hereby close the meeting. Thank you.
Yes.
Sure. Is that right?
No,
no.
Yeah, you want this to, does Chris want to